Have you ever thought about how even the smallest act can change the world? Today, we're sharing an incredible story that might change the way you see your life. It's the story of a woman whose simple, quiet life turned out to be part of something much bigger, touching the lives of many people. During her near-death experience, she discovered an amazing truth: everything we do matters. Even a small smile or kind gesture can create waves that impact others in ways we can't imagine. What did she see? And why does it matter to all of us? Stay with us to hear her powerful message. It might change your life too. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more inspiring stories. And make sure to watch until the end, because this story's ending is something you won't want to miss. Anna always thought her life was boring. She worked at a flower shop, lived in a small apartment in the city, and rarely met with friends. Her days were the same, and she often wondered, what difference can I possibly make in this big world? Every morning, she woke up in her tiny bedroom with beige walls, decorated with old photos of nature. On her nightstand sat a wilted cactus, which, to Anna, felt like a symbol of her stagnant life. Outside her window, the view never changed: a busy street filled with cars and people rushing by, too busy to notice her. Her job at the flower shop wasn't much different. She had worked there for 5 years, on the corner of a noisy intersection. Customers came and went, rarely stopping to thank her for the bouquets she carefully made. Sometimes, she watched happy couples and families walking past the shop and felt like her life lacked the same warmth and joy. Her only comfort was the flowers. She loved taking care of them and watching them bloom. There was one small purple iris that she especially cared for. It grew in the corner of the shop, stubbornly surviving without much sunlight. Just like me, she often thought as she watered it. But even this quiet joy couldn't fill the emptiness she felt inside. Her evenings were as quiet as her days. After work, she would go home, cook a simple meal, and sit with a book, trying to escape her thoughts. Every day felt like a loop, repeating over and over. Sometimes, she asked herself, does my life even matter? I just sell flowers, while so many people are solving big problems or making a real difference. My life feels like just a tiny dot in a huge universe. That evening, after a long and tiring day at work, Anna was driving home on the wet roads when a truck hit her car at an intersection. The crash was so sudden and strong that Anna didn't have time to realize what had happened. Her car flipped over, and everything went dark. When Anna opened her eyes, she realized she was no longer in her body. She felt incredibly light, as if all the weight of her physical form had disappeared. All that was left was her true self, her soul. The world around her had changed. There were no walls, no ground, and no horizon, just a warm golden light that surrounded her like a gentle sunrise. This light didn't just shine around her, it seemed to flow into her, filling her with peace and safety. Looking down, Anna saw her own body, lying still in the wrecked car. Around it, rescuers were working frantically. For a moment, fear gripped her. Is that me? What's happening? Why don't I feel any pain? But these questions soon faded, replaced by a calmness she couldn't explain. Her focus shifted away from the scene on Earth to something far greater that lay ahead. Suddenly, she found herself in a completely new place. It was a vast space filled with soft waves of glowing light. There were no walls, no roof, no sense of direction, just endless beauty and warmth. In the center of this glowing world, a figure appeared. It didn't have a clear shape, but it radiated love, warmth, and understanding. Anna could feel this presence surrounding her, almost like a hug. It wasn't just light, it felt alive, as if it understood every part of her, her thoughts, her fears, her joys. "You're here for a reason," said a voice. It wasn't loud or quiet, it just was echoing inside her soul. "Who are you?" Anna asked, feeling nervous but not afraid. "I am the one who is always with you, reminding you that your life matters," the voice replied. As Anna listened, memories from her life began to appear, as if someone was gently opening a photo album. She saw moments of joy and moments of pain. Every memory seemed to glow with its own light. "Why am I here?" she asked. "I'm just a normal person. Why is this happening to me?" "You think your life is small," the voice said gently. "But let me show you how much you mean to the world." Anna felt her awareness expand. Around her, glowing threads appeared, weaving together like a giant web. Each thread seemed connected to her life, and she felt deeply that everything was linked, every action, every thought, every person. "You've always been part of this beautiful design," the voice continued. "But now you'll see it in a way you couldn't before." Anna's heart swelled with emotion. She knew that what she was about to see would forever change the way she looked at her life. The figure led Anna through scenes from her life, but they weren't just memories. These moments came alive, glowing and moving, as if she was watching a movie where she was the main character. The first scene showed Anna as a teenager. She was tired after school but decided to stop and help an elderly woman carry her heavy bags. Anna had forgotten about this moment, thinking it was nothing special. But now, the scene continued. The elderly woman, touched by Anna's kindness, went home and wrote a letter to her grandson, with whom she hadn't spoken in years due to an old family argument. The grandson, moved by her letter, visited her, and their relationship healed. Years later, this man became a doctor, saving dozens of lives. Tears filled Anna's eyes. She had never imagined that such a small act of kindness could lead to something so meaningful. The next scene took her to the flower shop. Anna saw herself handing a small bouquet to a sad woman who walked in late one evening. Anna remembered saying, "This is from us," when she gave the flowers. At the time, it felt like nothing more than a nice gesture, but now she saw the impact it had. That bouquet reminded her that there is still kindness in the world, the figure explained. That day, she stopped feeling like her life was meaningless. She found the strength to keep going. A few weeks later, she helped her friend through a very dark time, just by being there for her. Each memory grew deeper and more meaningful. Anna watched herself smiling at an elderly man on a bus. She never thought about it again, but now she saw that his day had been filled with dark thoughts. Her simple smile became a symbol of hope for him. That smile changed his decision, the figure continued. He was about to take a step he couldn't undo, but in that moment, he decided that maybe the world could still be a good place. Anna couldn't believe it. These small actions, which she had barely noticed, had set off waves of change, reaching far beyond what she could see. "Each of us is like a butterfly," the voice said gently. "A single flap of its wings can create a breeze that changes the world. You've only seen the beginning. The effects of your actions continue to spread, like ripples in water." Anna's heart was filled with awe. She had never thought of her life as important, but now she saw how every small gesture of kindness, every thoughtful word, was part of a much bigger picture. Looking at the glowing figure with gratitude, Anna felt her soul filling with light. She now understood that every life, no matter how small it seemed, was part of a grand and beautiful design. Anna stood in the middle of this vast space, surrounded by glowing threads that stretched out in every direction. She began to notice that these threads were not only connected to her but to everything, time, actions, and people's lives. "What is this?" she asked in wonder, staring at the endless connections. "This is the web of life," the voice explained. "Every thread represents a thought, an action, or a choice made in the world. They connect people, events, and even generations. And you are part of this web." Anna noticed that some threads shone brighter than others. She followed one thread back to her teenage years, to the moment she helped the elderly woman with her bags. The thread split into countless other threads, each representing the changes that came from that small act. She saw relationships healed, lives saved, and moments of joy sparked, all flowing outward like branches on a tree. "You see how everything is connected," the voice said. "Your life is not just a small point in time. It is a complex and beautiful pattern that wouldn't be complete without you." Anna felt a deep sense of belonging, as though she was part of something infinitely bigger than herself. "But I've made mistakes," she whispered, shame washing over her as she remembered times when she had been impatient or indifferent. "Mistakes are important too," the voice replied, full of kindness. "They teach you and others. They bring lessons about forgiveness and compassion. Even your darkest moments can be a source of light for someone else." In that moment, a new image appeared before Anna. She saw the Earth, but not as it looks in pictures from space. This was a living, breathing planet, covered in glowing threads of light. The threads intertwined, creating a breathtaking tapestry that pulsed with energy. "All life is connected," the voice said. "You are never alone. Every step you take is part of this great dance of the universe." Anna saw her own thread weaving into the lives of millions of others. Her small acts of kindness had sent waves of light across time and space, touching people she would never meet. "Why couldn't I see this before?" she asked. "You were caught in the illusion of being separate," the voice explained. "People often think they are alone, that their actions don't matter. But if everyone could see this web, as you are seeing it now, the world would be a very different place." The voice grew quiet, and the space around Anna fell still. She stood there, overwhelmed by the beauty and complexity of the connections she had never noticed before. "Now that you know the truth," the voice said, "what will you do with this knowledge when you return?" Anna couldn't answer right away. She stood silently, her heart filled with gratitude for the chance to see what she had never understood before. Anna stood silently in the glowing space, surrounded by the infinite web of light. She could feel the threads connecting everything, every person, every action, every moment. The beauty of it all was overwhelming. "This is the truth of life," the voice said gently. "Every choice, every act of kindness, every moment of connection adds to this great pattern." Anna looked closer at the threads and saw how some shone brighter than others. She realized that these were the moments filled with love, kindness, and hope. She saw how her own small actions had created threads that sparkled and connected to others. "Your life is not small," the voice continued. "Without your thread, the design would not be complete. Every person plays a part, and so do you." Anna felt a wave of peace wash over her. She realized that her doubts, her questions about whether her life mattered, were never needed. She had always been important, even if she didn't see it at the time. "But what about my mistakes?" she asked, still feeling a small knot of guilt inside. "Mistakes are part of the pattern," the voice said. "They teach you and others. They create the opportunity for growth, forgiveness, and compassion. Even when you fall, the light of the design remains." Anna began to see moments from her life where she had made mistakes. But instead of guilt, she now saw how those moments had led to understanding and deeper connections with others. She realized that even the darkest parts of her life had value. Then, Anna's perspective shifted again. She saw the earth, glowing with the threads of connection. She saw how every person's actions, big and small, wove together into an endless, intricate design. All life is one, the voice said. You are never truly alone. Every smile, every kind word, every choice sends ripples across the web. You may not see it, but the impact of your actions is always there. Anna felt tears well up in her eyes. She had never thought of her life this way before. All the small things she did, the moments she barely remembered, were part of something far greater. Now that you understand, the voice asked gently, what will you do with this knowledge? Anna looked at the glowing threads around her, her heart filled with gratitude. I'll share it, she said softly. I'll share it with others so they can see how much they matter too. The voice was silent for a moment, and then the glowing space around her began to change. The warmth of the light softened, and Anna felt a pull, as if she were being drawn back towards something heavy and solid. Anna felt herself being pulled out of the glowing space. The light around her began to dim, and she turned to the figure, still standing beside her. You have to go back, the voice said gently. I don't want to leave, Anna whispered, tears streaming down her face. Here, there was no pain, no fear, no loneliness. It was perfect. The figure smiled, a kind, knowing smile that seemed to reach into the deepest part of her soul. Your work isn't finished, the voice said. You've seen how every action matters. Now it's time to live with this knowledge. Take the light with you and share it. The figure extended a glowing sphere toward Anna. It shimmered with all the colors of the threads she had seen, pulsating softly like a heartbeat. What is this? She asked, reaching out to touch it. This is the truth you've learned, the voice explained. Take it with you. It will remind you of the light you carry and the difference you can make. As Anna accepted the glowing sphere, it dissolved into her hands, filling her with warmth and strength. Then, the space around her began to fade. The light grew softer, and she felt a tug, as if she were being pulled downward. Her chest tightened, and a dull pain began to return. I'm afraid, she whispered. You're never alone, the voice reassured her. The light will always be with you. With one final rush of warmth, the light disappeared, and Anna felt a jolt. She gasped for air and opened her eyes. Anna found herself back in her body, lying in a hospital bed. The beeping of machines filled the room, and she could hear muffled voices of doctors and nurses. She's back, someone said. Her body felt heavy and weak, but her mind was clearer than ever. She looked around, tears streaming down her face. She had returned to the world, but she was no longer the same person. Anna knew she couldn't go back to living the way she had before. She had seen too much, understood too deeply, to continue living an ordinary, quiet life. Her apartment, once a place that felt small and empty, now felt like a cozy haven. Even the old photo of a field of flowers on her wall took on new meaning. She remembered how her mother had taken that picture, and it reminded her of the beauty in small, everyday moments. At the flower shop, Anna began to see her work differently. Every bouquet she made felt like a chance to brighten someone's day. She started taking the time to smile at every customer, even the ones who seemed in a rush. One day, an elderly man came into the shop. He looked burdened, as if he carried the weight of the world on his shoulders. Anna could sense his sadness. Instead of simply selling him flowers, she asked softly, "Are you okay?" The man looked up, his eyes filled with tears. "My wife passed away a few months ago," he said. "Today is her birthday, and I just wanted to buy her favorite roses." Anna's heart ached for him. She picked out the most beautiful roses in the shop and handed them to him as a gift. "Her love is still with you," she said gently. The man began to cry, but this time, it wasn't from sadness alone. As he left the shop, he looked lighter, as though her kindness had given him hope. Anna found herself drawn to acts of kindness in ways she had never been before. It wasn't about doing something extraordinary, it was about making every small moment count. She began volunteering at a local shelter, bringing fresh flowers to brighten the space. One day, while arranging a bouquet at the shelter, a quiet young woman approached her. The girl had been coming to the shelter for weeks but never spoke to anyone. She hesitated before asking, "Why do you do this? You don't even know us." Anna paused, smiled warmly, and replied, "Because someone once showed me that every life matters. Now, I want to remind others of that." The girl's eyes softened, and she nodded. A few weeks later, she joined Anna as a volunteer, helping to arrange flowers and organize donations. Anna also began sharing her story. It started with small gatherings in her community. People would sit in silence, listening to her recount her experience beyond life and the web of light she had seen. "Your life is not meaningless," she would say at every meeting. "Even the smallest thing you do can change someone's world. Never underestimate the power of a kind word or a simple smile. We are all connected, and we all matter." Her words touched many hearts. People began sharing their own stories of kindness in moments when someone else's actions had saved or inspired them. Over time, Anna's message spread further than she could have imagined. She was invited to speak at schools, community centers, and even conferences. But Anna didn't care about the attention or recognition. What mattered to her was helping people see the value of their own lives. Every evening, after a day spent spreading her message, Anna would sit by her window and look up at the stars. She thought of the glowing threads she had seen, weaving together every life into a magnificent tapestry. "I'm just one thread," she would whisper to herself. "But I can make my part of the pattern shine brighter." Anna's story is a powerful reminder for all of us: we matter. Our actions, no matter how small they seem, can create ripples that touch countless lives. A smile, a helping hand, a kind word, these are the things that shape the world in ways we may never see. Now, ask yourself, what impact are you leaving on the world? Maybe it's a gesture so small you don't even notice it, but to someone else, it could mean everything. If this story inspired you, don't forget to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever experienced a moment of kindness that changed your life? Or have you made a small gesture that ended up being much more meaningful than you expected? We'd love to hear your story.